offered me the choice of contrasting points of view, one of a rich man and one of a poor man. Instead of simply accepting or rejecting one or the other, I found myself thinking more, comparing, and then choosing for myself. The problem was that the rich man was not rich yet, and the poor man was not yet poor. Both were just starting out on their careers, and both were struggling with money and families. But they had very different points of view about money. For example, one dad would say, "The love of money is the root of all evil." The other said, "The lack of money is the root of all evil." As a young boy, having two strong fathers, both influencing me, was difficult. I wanted to be a good son and listen, but the two fathers did not say the same things. The contrast in their points of view, particularly about money, was so extreme that I grew curious and intrigued. I began to start thinking for long periods of time about what each was saying. Much of my private time was spent reflecting, asking myself questions such as, "Why does he say that?" and then asking the same question of the other dad's statement. It would have been much easier to simply say, "Yeah, he's right, I agree with that," or to simply reject the point of view by saying, "The old man doesn't know what he's talking about." Instead, having two dads whom I loved forced me to think and ultimately choose a way of thinking for myself. As a process, choosing for myself turned out to be much more valuable in the long run than simply accepting or rejecting a single point of view. One of the reasons the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and the middle class struggles in debt is that the subject of money is taught at home, not in school. Most of us learn about money from our parents, so what can poor parents tell their child about money? They simply say, "Stay in school and study hard." The child may graduate with excellent grades, but with a poor person's financial programming and mindset. Sadly, money is not taught in schools. Schools focus on scholastic and professional skills, but not on financial skills. This explains how smart bankers, doctors, and accountants who earned excellent grades may struggle financially all of their lives. Our staggering national debt is due in large part to highly educated politicians and government officials making financial decisions with little or no training in the subject of money. Today, I often wonder what will soon happen when we have millions of people who need financial and medical assistance. They will be dependent upon their families or the government for financial support. What will happen when Medicare and Social Security run out of money? How will a nation survive if teaching children about money continues to be left to parents, most of whom will be, or already are, poor? Because I had two influential fathers, I learned from both of them. I had to think about each dad's advice, and in doing so, I gained valuable insight into the power and effect of one's thoughts on one's life. For example, one dad had a habit of saying, "I can't afford it." The other dad forbade those words to be used. He insisted I ask, "How can I afford it?" One is a statement, and the other is a question. One lets you off the hook, and the other forces you to think. My soon-to-be rich dad would explain that by automatically saying the words, "I can't afford it," your brain stops working. By asking the question, "How can I afford it?" your brain is put to work. He did not mean that you should buy everything you want. He was fanatical about exercising your mind, the most powerful computer in the world. He'd say, "My brain gets stronger every day because I exercise it. The stronger it gets, the more money I can make." He believed that automatically saying, "I can't afford it," was a sign of mental laziness. Although both dads worked hard, I noticed that one dad had a habit of putting his brain to sleep when it came to finances, and the other had a habit of exercising his brain. The long-term result was that one dad grew stronger financially, and the other grew weaker. It is not much different from a person who goes to the gym to exercise on a regular basis versus someone who sits on the couch watching television. Proper physical exercise increases your chances for health, and proper mental exercise.
Well, we're on a great lesson tonight. We're starting out with personal initiative. And this is a great lesson because it's the action-producing portion of this philosophy. It wouldn't make very much difference whether you understood all of the other principles or not if you didn't do something about it, now would it? In other words, the value that you're going to get out of this philosophy will not consist of anything that I will say in these lectures, not consist of anything that I put in my notes, nor anything that's in your lessons, or anything that's in any of my textbooks that you'll be reading. That's important, but the important thing is what you will do about all of this. The action you will take to start using this philosophy on your own personal initiative. Now, there are certain things, certain attributes of initiative and leadership, and I want you to start in and grade yourself on them. And there are 31 of them. I'm going to make comment on the ones that I consider of greatest importance. Incidentally, this is a grading of yourself on these qualities will be the first step toward making those qualities your own. I don't believe that I need to make much comment on number one, on a definite major purpose, because obviously if you don't have an objective in life, a major overall purpose, you haven't very much personal initiative. And that's one of the most important steps to take, is to find out what it is you want to do. Maybe if you're not sure what you want to do over a lifetime, let's find out what you're going to do this year, the remainder of this year. Let's set our goal not too high perhaps, but and not too far in the distance. If you're in a business or a profession or a job, your definite major purpose certainly could enable you to step up your income from your services, whatever your services may be. And then at the end of the year, you can review your record and reestablish your definite major purpose and step it up to something bigger, maybe to another one-year plan, or maybe to a 5-year plan. But in other words, that's the starting point of personal initiative, is to find out where you're going and why you're going there, and what you're going to do after you get there, and how much you're going to get out of it financially. You know, the majority of people in this world could be very successful if they would just make up their minds how much success they want and in what terms they want to evaluate success. There are a lot of people in this world who want a good position and plenty of money, but they're not quite sure just what kind of a position or what kind of money, how much money they want, or when they want to get it. Let's do a little thinking on that subject and grade ourselves on number one. Then on number two, an adequate motive to inspire continuous action in pursuit of the object of one's definite major purpose. Now, study yourself carefully and see if you have an adequate motive or motives. It will be very much better if you have more than one motive for wanting to attain the object of your major purpose, whatever that happens to be, or your immediate purpose. You know, ladies and gentlemen, nobody ever does anything without a motive. Well, no, let me restate that. That's not correct. No one outside of the insane asylum or a person who is off balance may do a lot of things without any motive whatsoever, but normal people move only on motive. And the stronger the motive is, the more active they become and the more apt they are to act upon their own personal initiative. You know, you don't have to have an awful lot of brains in this world. You don't have to be very brilliant. You don't have to have such a wonderful education in order to be an outstanding success if you will only take what little you have, whether it's little or much, and start using it, putting it into operation, doing something about it and with it. And of course, that calls for initiative. And number three, a mastermind alliance, that is to say friendly cooperation at least, through which to acquire the necessary power for noteworthy achievement. Take the initiative now and find out just how many friends you have that you can call on if you were in need of something in the way of cooperation. Make a list of them. In your notes, make a list of the people that you really and truly could turn to if you needed some favor, if you needed an endorsement, if you needed an introduction, maybe if you needed to make a loan of money. And incidentally, unless you have all the money lying around that you need, the time might come when you need to make a loan. Wouldn't it be very nice to know someone that you could turn to in the case of need and get the money you need? Of course, you can always go to a bank. All you have to do is to give 4-for-1 security, government bonds, and you can get all the money you want. But there are times when you want medium sums perhaps, or you want other favors comparable to the borrowing of money, and you need to have somebody, the acquaintance of somebody cultivated so that when you turn to them for favors, you can get them. But above all, if you're aiming at anything above mediocrity, you need to have a mastermind alliance of one or more people besides yourself, who not only will cooperate with you, but who will go out of their way to help you and assist you, and who have the ability to do something that will be a benefit to you. And it's up to you to take the initiative to build those mastermind allies. You know, they don't just come along and join you because you're a good fellow. You have to lay out a plan, you have to have an objective, and you have to find the people suitable to make up your mastermind alliance. And then you have to give them an adequate motive for becoming a mastermind ally of yours. Now, incidentally, I happen to know that the vast majority of people do not have a mastermind alliance with other people. And don't be afraid to grade yourself 0 on this one if you don't have one. But next time you come to grade, don't grade 0. Grade higher than that. And the only way you can grade higher, if you grade 0 now, is to start in and find at least one mastermind ally that you can attach yourself to right now, in the beginning. Number 4, self-reliance in proportion to the nature of your major purpose. Find out just exactly how much self-reliance you have.